What is going on, guys? So it has been a while since I've done a video like this, but I thought now was a good time to do it. I was recently contacted by somebody that shall not be named, that has an association, shall we say, with Academy Sports and Outdoors. And recently, they were actually cut off from NICS computer check system. Now, for a lot of you guys that don't know, when you go to Academy, some of these big box stores, when you go to buy a gun, they no longer call it in. That's kind of been something that hasn't been done for several years now. You don't go to one of these, Academies or Cabela's and actually they get on the phone and they sit there and wait. And I know a lot of local gun shops still do this, but when you deal in volumes the way some of these big box stores do, they don't do that anymore. And basically what happened, the information that was passed along to me, and I actually did see some paperwork, but as I said, I can't say where that paperwork came from. NICS actually just cut them off completely. Said, look, we're getting too much volume from you guys. We just can't take it. We can't handle it, so we're cutting you off from the computer system altogether completely. You're going to have to go back to calling in. Now, again, for your local gun shop, that's not a big deal to call in to the NICS check system every time they sell a gun. Maybe they sell a handful of guns in a day. Maybe they sell 5 or 6 guns in a day. That's 5 or 6 phone calls. For just one big box store, whether it be a Cabela's or a Bass Pro or an Academy or whatever, they may sell 20, 40, 60 guns in a day to multiple people, while trying to do many other things, while trying to assist customers with things not firearm related. So you see there can be kind of a problem here where you start to get a backup. And in this particular case, it's obviously not the fault of Academy, but it still falls back on them. And then of course it falls back on their customers. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and preach about why we should try and prop up big box stores. You guys know I like to support local gun shops, and I always encourage people to do that. But obviously there is a time and place to go buy something from a big box retailer. And in a situation like this, basically what NICS has done is putting it back on you. They're making it harder for you to buy a gun. Now, I know the whole slippery slope argument. People go, well, come on, you're just going back to making a phone call. Is it really that big of a deal? Yes, yes it is. When a federal government agency that we have paid to put a procedure in place to make it easier for us to purchase a firearm, then just arbitrarily decides to cut off a large portion of that infrastructure to people who are trying to sell you firearms, and they can just do it just because they want to. Make it harder for you to buy a gun and for them to sell a gun. When they can do that, there's something wrong with the process. Now, you guys know how I feel about NICS altogether. It's useless, it's pointless, there's no proof whatsoever that it isn't ever stopped even so much as one crime from ever happening. And that's just across the board. NICS is pointless. It doesn't do anything. But if it's going to be in place, then absolutely it needs to be regulated to a point to where it is as advantageous for us, the taxpayers, as possible, and it should not have the ability to simply just cut off a portion of its infrastructure to people trying to exercise their Second Amendment rights, whether it be to sell a gun or to buy a gun. And that's why I have a problem with NICS. This is something we need to keep a close eye on. And before I go, I would just like to say to NICS and to the federal government, to the agencies that make these types of decisions, to the individual government workers that decided this was a good thing to do, go fuck yourself.